Ryan here, setthepace.triathlon.com, and we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about 70.3 Des Moines coming up. Right now we are 2025, so we are approximately, the time of this recording, we're about 4 months out from 70.3 Des Moines. I know I haven't posted in a little bit, so hopefully you've been keeping up with your training. Definitely should be rolling into the main bulk of your race-specific training plan for Des Moines. But I'm going to do this video because a lot of people ask, what should I be doing? How long are my long bike rides? How many are my long runs? All that kind of good stuff. How much volume should I be doing? All that kind of good stuff. I'm going to get into that just to dispel some of the myths. I've done this race a couple times. Been coaching since 2012. Done 14 IRONMAN, 15 70.3s. So I've done a few. I've done this race specifically, like I said, 2-3 times. We'll go with 3. I've done it when it was the full as well, so I know the course well. I know the area. I know the climate that you could run into, whether it's going to be humid. It could be all over the map. So as you can see there, they've got the high air temperature. They've kind of revamped the website a little bit. High air temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which one year is about like 90 with a 100-degree heat index. Lower air temperature of 59 degrees. So last year it was perfect for the 70.3. I think it got to about 75 degrees, maybe a little bit warmer there at the end of the run, but it was like perfect conditions, not overly humid, not hot, not steamy. It was perfect last year, and the year before that I think it was pretty good as well. I coached a few athletes for that. Average water temperature 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Usually it's wetsuit legal, at least wetsuit optional, so if you're not worried about necessarily qualifying for age group awards or anything, or having your points a little score towards all-world athlete, you can usually 99 times out of 100 bring a wetsuit. You'll be able to use it on a race day. So it is in Grays Lake. See, the bike is rolling. The run is, I think, flat. It's a fairly accurate assessment. There's one little climb. Now that they've changed it to 2 loops around the lake, you climb into downtown. There's one kind of running up the hill on a bridge. It's not like super kill or anything, but something to be aware of. So when I make up the training plan specifically for 70.3 Des Moines, taking into account it's lake swim. There's not really current, there's not really waves, not really chop except for other swimmers. Some boats running around once in a while. The bike is rolling. It can be a little bit challenging. There's some good climbs in there, but it's nothing killer. You're not going to go out there and think you're cycling up the Andes Mountains or anything like that. It's definitely not Tour de France bike hill climbing level. So keep that in mind though. But you do want to be strong on the bike so you can go through and attack that run course, because like I said, it's flat. Once you get your legs under you, you should be able to hit that course pretty good, and it should be a pretty nice day out there for you. So with that, we're going to jump right into we're looking at the sweet spot, the intermediate triathlon plan. So right now, like I said, this is a 20-week plan. So this is my intermediate Des Moines 70.3 plan that I have on Training Peaks that I sell on there. So I'm looking at, this is week 1. So it's a 20-week plan. So we're roughly going to be about week 4 to week 5, because we're kind of 1 month into the plan. You're four months out. So if you take that 5 times 4 weeks per month, 20 weeks, subtract 4 out of there, you're at week 16. So pardon the internet while it's a little bit slow. So you'll see that this landed on week 5, so now it's catching up. So if you're looking at week 4, see if we get the internet to cooperate. Sorry about that. Hopefully this is coming through good. Bear with me if there's any technical difficulty during the live broadcast. I also will copy this, make a video, post it on YouTube, and then post that link as well. So you want to rewatch it later, you can. Right now I do have comments up on one of my screens, so if you have any questions live, feel free to ask them. I can address them in real time if you want, or if you want to ask them later, post them in the comments. I'll try to get back to them. But looking at your training plan, you roll into week 4. Keep in mind this is an intermediate plan, so your transition weeks, your build weeks, and your race prep weeks and stuff might be a little bit different depending on if you're a beginner, you're doing your first 70.3, or you just kind of want to do it at the finish, or if you're doing an advanced plan and you're trying to, podium, age group finish, all that kind of good stuff. So your weeks may be a little bit different, maybe a little off if you're doing the plans along with me and you're technically on week 4 or week 5. But this kind of gives you a good idea where you should be at. Currently this is looking like a transition week, which is kind of a lower intensity. You're still kind of keeping volume, but you're letting the build weeks previous kind of sit and percolate in the body there. and let your body kind of recuperate, rest, absorb that training. So the next week, when you start the next build phase, you've got some resiliency built in from kind of a week of lower intensity to make sure that you're not beating yourself on the ground and overtraining. So I like to give you a little bit of a respite within that plan. But like I said, it's not a off week or recovery week or anything like that. I call it a transition week. So it's a lot less intensity, but the same kind of about the same amount of volume as you've done the week before in your build phase. So right now, intermediate athletes, you're looking about an hour and 45 minutes for your long bike ride, 7 miles for your long run. So nothing too crazy, especially if you've done a 70.3 before. This shouldn't really be too drastically off the mark from your longer distances that you've been doing. Hopefully you had a good off season and you're able to keep up with your training and keep a good base level over the off season through. It's always a struggle, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. I know there's lots of things going on in personal lives, and I'm not oblivious to that. 3 kids, married myself. My wife travels a lot for work. You got to balance a lot of different plates in the air, and getting through the holiday season with a good base still intact is always a challenge, but it can be done. You just got to be mindful and purposeful about what you're doing and when you're doing it to make sure that you're keeping everybody happy and keeping all the plates in the air. And again, this is just a plan that I've created on Training Peaks. If your week looks a little bit different, if the structure is a little bit different, if you don't do your swims on the weekends, you do them in the middle of the week or something like that. So don't be thrown off. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to do my swims on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays and be able to get the most effective training plan. That's not accurate. I create them in different ways and different setups for different people in different situations. So just keep that in mind. If you do get one of the plans, especially my groups, I've got links to a bunch of the different training plans you can get in there. If you've got a premium account in Training Peaks, you can shuffle them around and move them to however you need to. If you got travel or anything like that, you can definitely move them around. So keep that in mind. But jumping in there, so this transition week, long bike ride, hour 45, long run, 7 miles. The swims, you're about 2,000, 2,500, either meters, yards, whatever you're doing. The bike rides during the week, you're about an hour. The runs are 40 to 50 minutes. It's nothing too crazy or intense at this point in time. Like I said, if you're doing an advanced plan, it might be a little bit more. If you're doing a beginner plan, it might be a little bit less. Excuse me. So rolling into next week, if you're doing the build phase, you're looking at, it's back down in time, an hour and 30, but the intensity is a little bit higher. You've got kind of a Z1, Zone 2 mix, Zone 3, Zone 4 mix. When you do the workouts, you can see the structure in there in my plans. So you got a little bit of alternating intensity in there. Notice the other week before for transition week is more of a Zone 2 type of ride. You get up there in the zones, but it's not going to be as difficult of a structured ride as this would be. So your runs, you're about 7.5 miles, but notice you're putting in some aerobic bursts in there and doing a little bit more different kinds of training. Jumping back on, doing some brick work, and then you've got some strength in there. I do like to put strengths in my training plans, especially even my beginner plans. You've got strength work in there because you definitely want to keep your muscle and muscle mass intact. And it's definitely a good way to work different areas of the body that are not swim, bike, and run in a straight line. Because if you're not working on the lateral movements and that type of thing, you go out to play basketball with your son, you tweak a hip. You go out to play with your kids in the driveway and you want to do a sudden movement to get out of the way of a teenager driving fast in the neighborhood, might tweak a little bit of a muscle that you're not used to using because you're doing all your work in a straight line. So I do like to put strength conditioning in there. Most of my plans, beginning of a race specific plan, you're doing more functional strength. There's more squats, there's deadlifts, there's bench press, there's the incline press, decline press, all those kinds of workouts in there. Then when you get closer to race day, I back off to a little bit more of specific like mobility and flexibility and that type of workouts. Definitely a fan of the reformer, Pilates reformer working those little tiny muscle groups that you're not really working when you're on the swim, bike, or the run. So I've got those workouts in there too. So notice you jump up to about 10 hours per week. The week before was about 9 hours and 10 minutes. So nothing too drastic or crazy at this point in time. Like I said, you're kind of in week 4 to week 5 of the cycle here for Des Moines 70.3. Looking about 4 months out from race day. So hopefully you find yourself in a good position. You're keeping up with your workouts, keeping that training in, keeping those, definitely get those bikes in there, because notice the next build week I've got pyramid powered, so you're going to be able to want to work the hills. Like I said, 70.3 Des Moines is a little bit hilly. It's a little bit, Iowa's not just a flat farmland out there. There's hills. So make sure that you're getting that bike-specific workout in, because that bike is going to affect the run. So if you come out there and you're undertrained for the bike ride and you think you're going to make it up on the run, you're going to be taxed because you're going to use everything you have just to get through that bike course. And then for the run, you're just going to hold on for dear life. So make sure that you're definitely getting those bike workouts in. Like I said, it's a lake swim, so if you're not a strong swimmer, definitely get the swim workouts in. But if you're mediocre to a good swimmer, piling on more distance per se isn't going to necessarily make you faster for that swim, just because it's going to be more about where you seed yourself, how many people are around you, if you're getting nervous in groups of people swimming. When I did it last year, my seating, I actually went to the bathroom, so I was a little bit late, and I was towards the end. So I stayed wide, and I was able to kind of get around people pretty smoothly. I didn't have much interference from people. It's kind of a squirrely little zigzag course. So there's a couple turns in, and one turn you're kind of facing straight into the sunlight, so it's not, make sure you're bringing your mirrored goggles, all that kind of fun stuff. But I will say that, making sure that you cover all your swims is kind of a last, if you're comfortable swimming, and especially open water around other people, definitely would not sweat getting all the swims in. You can maybe get 2 in a week at minimum and be okay in there. Unless you're really like that advanced athlete looking to cut time off your swim, definitely don't skip the swims. If you're trying to cut time, definitely get that training in. But definitely bike rides. Try to get those runs in, but if you can't, if you got to scratch a run, definitely scratch a run and keep the bike rides at all costs. Keep those long bike rides, keep the long runs. Definitely keep at least 2 swims a week, and then at least 2 runs a week. Keep your long run for sure. And then trying to get in your other work as well for the runs. This specific plan, since it's more of a flat course, you're going to be working more of the tempo efforts, kind of stretching out that anaerobic to aerobic capacity, that zone 3 kind of top. Try to stretch that out as much as possible, because we don't need to work strength as much on this run course, because, like I said, there's one little kind of hill at the end where you're running over a bridge and to get into downtown. So it's not really going to tax you as far as the run goes. But if you're not set up for the bike, you're definitely going to have a tough day out on the run course, whether it's flat or not. So keep that in mind. Hopefully, we went through this fairly quickly. Got about 12 minutes in. Hopefully this gives you a good idea where you should be at. About 10.5 hours a week, 9 hours a week. The long bike is about hour 45, hour 30, a little bit longer if you're going advanced. The run, you're about 7 to 8 miles for the weekend for the long run. So hopefully, like I said, I try to do these videos to kind of help athletes, and especially my athletes that I'm coaching. I have a few doing this race, trying to make sure that they are set up in the right position, and especially if you don't have a plan, you don't have a coach, make sure that you kind of have an idea where you should be at. So definitely, you can either buy the plan or you can take a screenshot and be like, oh, this is where I should be at this point in time. So I'll also post other videos later, 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, a week out, 2 weeks out, all that kind of good stuff. So those videos will be coming, how to get prepared and ready for 70.3 Des Moines. So hopefully this helps you out. If you got any questions, put them in the comments, either here, Facebook, whatever. Give a like, subscribe, all the things. Hit the notification buttons to make sure that you get notified whenever I put videos out in the future, because I want to make sure that you get there to the finish line and have a good race, have a good time, and want to come back for more. That's always the goal. So hopefully this helped you out. With that, we're going to end the video. Again, if you got any questions, put them in the comments, and I will get back to you later. Have a happy day training out there.